I've had my Tracer coming up in a year now, and in all that time I probably used the horn maybe less than half a dozen times. But in the last couple of weeks I've had people change lanes on me, and I had to beep my horn on them and try to get them out of the way. So I think I made the decision at that point that I probably need a better horn for this bike. If you recall in my other video for the RS, I installed a Denali Soundbomb split horn on the RS, and I used it with a CanSMART controller. I found that to be a great horn, and it's still working beautifully for the last few years that I've had it on the RS. So this time I decided to pick up another split Soundbomb, and I got the wiring harness as well. This is what the box looks like. This is the graph that it says it's 4 times louder. You can see it there, what they claim is 120 decibels. And there's the back of the box showing the product specs and the kit contents and measurements on the side. And you can see here the size. I'll take this out in a minute and you can see it. But here we have the wiring harness as well. I just bought this. Is about 35 bucks. Makes the hookup a little bit easier. The difference is with this system I'm going to be installing it as a generic motorcycle install, so not using the CanSMART system as I did with the RS, and that which makes it easier. But this is going to be this typical installation that you do on any motorcycle. And as you can see here, I'm trying to do all this with one hand as usual. Packet of hardware. And inside the box, you've got the horn, big fat horn. Okay, you've got a zip tie there. Well, it's actually a couple of zip ties. And you've got the hose. And you've got the compressor. Let's see what else is in there. Oh, there's a relay. A relay here. Not the best relay in the world, but it probably will work just fine. And there's some instructions. The harness kit comes with the harness, of course, 4 zip ties, some posi-tap connectors and some other types of connectors here, as well as some instructions here. And you can see here the schematic of the connection that's supposed to happen. You can see the relay and the horn and the battery. So that's essentially what you need to do to hook this thing up. The main problem with the installation though is going to find a suitable spot for the horn, and this is where the stock horn goes. As you can see, it's right up underneath the headlights there, between the forks, and the new horn is a much bigger horn, and so that gap there is what's, you know, the travel when the motorcycle compresses the suspension. This is going to come closer to the fender. So the concern is when this moves up closer, you don't want to foul the horn. So that's where the biggest concern of mine is going to be if I want to put the horn in the same position as the stock horn. And then the other part is, well, the thing is, if you've got the compact Soundbomb, it's all in one. The compressor and the horn is all in one. So you'd have an even bigger lump to go and install wherever you're gonna put it. So that's why I went with the split version of the Soundbomb horn to try and put the compressor somewhere else. On the RS, I put it right here, kind of like right by the radiator there, and it has worked great for the last few years. No issues whatsoever. Some people kind of put it inside the, you know, the area up here, somewhere in there, but I don't know if I'll have space. But I'm going to take off the fairing panels and see what the space looks like there. Maybe I'll relocate it up there. So my fallback position would be to put the compressor right here, as I did with the RS. So the first thing to do would be to remove the connectors from the original stock horn, and then remove the horn and the bracket from the frame. The stock horn and brackets, as you can see, there's a doubled up bracket. So those two pieces there are doubled up, so you can choose to use one or both in the replacement, but I intend to use the the bracket again with the Denali horn. Taking a quick look at the instructions, you can see that they're saying that the compressor needs to be mounted vertically with a maximum of 25 degrees either side tilt. So we've got to bear that in mind when we mount that. But for now, we're going to be looking to mount the actual horn unit, and there's the instruction that, or the graphic that shows how it should be mounted, essentially with the openings to the horn pointing downwards to enable good drainage. You don't want the horn to become waterlogged by mounting it the other way around with the openings upwards. So using the bolt, and then there's a little vibration dampener and the brackets that we've got from the Yamaha, I can put that on there now and go and find a suitable orientation on the bike. So after some finagling, I managed to get the horn mounted using the stock brackets, those two pieces of metal. I just had a slight bend in it. I had to put a little bend to bend the horn such that the horn went up as much as possible, but still providing some clearance with this module here. One could put a little bumper pad in there if one wanted, but I don't think that that'll cause too much of an issue. I'll just keep an eye on it and see how it goes over time. But yeah, it's installed and it kind of looks darky there. But hey, safety, right? Let's see the clearance. The travel on the Tracer is I've got a ruler here. The travel on the Tracer in front is 5.4 millimeters. And I think I just barely get close to that. It's not actually 5. Well, I don't know. If you keep the measurement parallel with the forks, and I don't want to scratch my fender, you can see that the lowest point there is probably about 5.4. So it's pretty darn close to, so I'd have to hit a pretty big pothole for that to kind of like this to contact that. And you know, I probably will have frame damage, or not frame damage, but rim damage at that point in time. So I don't really care about a little bit of scratching up here. This will give and it'll go up, so there's not going to be too much damage on this, but it's pretty much at 5.4 inches right now, which is the travel on the Tracer. These are the original horn connectors, so the harness will connect to these so that the horn button works, and then the rest of the hookup should be fairly simple. Now we just got to find a spot for the compressor. It turns out that mounting up the compressor was a little bit more tricky than I'd hoped, and as you can see, I've got it mounted to the crash bars. Aside from that, I don't know where I would have been able to mount this compressor if I didn't have the crash bars. I had to go buy one set of clamps. It came in a package of 2, so I got a spare clamp like this one here, and then back to back that to a larger clamp here. As you can see, the big clamp that goes around the compressor, and that's back to back to this, and then a bolt right through here. With that there's good clearance to the frame. So there's nice clearance here. I don't need this bump, but I can't cut it off. I suppose I could if I really wanted to. And then the hose is right underneath here. So there's good access to everything, except good access to that. To get the fairing off, you got to use a little Allen key here now, whereas before I used to put my screwdriver and get it off. But that's where I've got the compressor. And once I mounted the compressor up here, it was a fairly easy job to route the wire as well as the hose through and towards the front where I've got the horn mounted. The wire harness that I got, the separate wire harness, is running here and is under the seat. I've got it all buttoned up, but you can figure out how best to do that yourself. But what I'll tell you is that the Tracer is very, very compact, and it does not lend itself well to mounting any kind of air horn. This is the clearance with the bike on the suspension here, and you can see there's a good there's probably 5 inches there now, but that's it. You know, like I measured before was 5.4, but I think that was unloaded. But I had taken the measurement of the travel here unloaded as well, so geometry wise it shouldn't be a problem. Only if I really bottom out the suspension, that this fender is going to contact this and push this up a bit but I'm not too worried about that. I don't intend to I've never bottomed out any of my motorcycles, so I don't see that as a problem. So it's all mounted up, and I've got the connectors there. As you can see, this is the original connectors there connecting to the harness. So you just unhook the original horn and plug in the harness there, so it gets the switch control. And the outlets or the the openings are facing backwards and downwards, so that's good. And the hose is coming through from the side, as you can see here, and it's long enough to accommodate the full lock on both sides. Full lock to the right, it doesn't tug on that. I could have come in between here, but then that would have put a kink into the hose. So, but essentially the Tracer is a very, very, very compact bike. You cannot get the compressor in here because the compressor's got to be vertical within 25 degrees either side of vertical. As you can see here, it's perfectly vertical the way I've got it mounted on my crash bar, vertical from both directions. So let's hear how it sounds. Some people talk about there being a delay because there's a remote, because the compressor is remote from the horn. And when I read that, I called on that because I have never experienced any delay on the RS. I'm going to film my finger pressing the horn, and you can tell me if you see a delay or you hear a delay. Okay, here we go. Zero delay. One more time. And that thing is loud. So that's the installation of the Denali Soundbomb, split Soundbomb on a Tracer. In summary, you basically got to mount it to your crash bar, or you got to be a bit more creative than I am. I've never taken off the tank to see if there's any space in there, but I don't think there's any space, and certainly nowhere to fit a bracket or anything like that to mount that compressor. And you don't want to get, I don't recommend getting a full-size Soundbomb to go there because it's got a compressor on it as well. So that's it. Bike is done. Again, that's the latest modification, the split Soundbomb from Denali.